I always felt it was just an internal thing. I've always wanted to win and compete and be the best. And you got to try to compete even with yourself in certain aspects. Okay, I did this yesterday, but let me do this a little bit better today.
Mhm.
And, you got to find the drive in yourself to try to compete, or you just improve upon something, or, beat somebody else if that's what it is. But, um, that could be on the field, in the weight room, in the classroom. You just got to find a way to be a little bit better than you were yesterday,
Mhm.
especially I think in the weight room. And, you talked about development.
Good morning, Hatter baseball fans, and welcome back to another edition of Coffee with Hats. I'm your host, Mark Machad Jr., and this morning we're going to sit down with freshman catcher and captain Christain Pregent. It was an excellent interview as we got to get behind-the-scenes look of how Christain looks at competition day in and day out. What led him to want to jump at becoming a captain as a freshman, handling the transition from high school to college, and then also taking on an added leadership role in the baseball program for the Hatters. And then also, we're going to talk about his learning process. He's going to break down some scenarios in the game where he's had actual things that happened where maybe he didn't have the success he wanted. He learned from it, grew from it, and then moved on to the next part of the process. It's a really unique and a real interesting interview today. And we're going to get right to it with my man, Christain Pregent. Welcome to the show, Christain.
Hey, Mark, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. It's great having you. So, quite a year for you. Freshman season. Named the captain as a freshman. We'll get into that a little bit later. But first of all, what are you working with coffee wise? I got my coffee right here.
Yeah, working with a little coffee this morning.
I'm black. I'm straight black. Don't do the cream. Don't do the sugar.
Really?
How you working it?
A little cream, a little sugar, pretty sweet, but
That's how you got to work into it. What's your hat that you got on today?
just nice little hat I found at Ross. Pretty nice, but Brixton Manufacturing.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah. All right. So let's go into this. As you know, we're doing this to try to give people, supporters, alumni. We're working on connecting Stetson baseball to the people who are important to Stetson baseball, our fans, our alumni, anybody who's interested in Stetson baseball. And why don't we go ahead? Let's start. Like, what was life growing up Daytona Beach? Were you out there surfing, skateboarding? What do you do, man?
yeah, I was actually born in Syracuse, New York, so I almost played hockey. So
Not a lot
that
of
was
surfing
pretty
over
cool.
there.
No, so growing up, it was always a split between baseball and hockey, and then eventually moving to Florida when I was 9 years old. Kind
So
of took hockey out of it.
did Coach
So
Trimper know that you played hockey when going through the recruiting process?
I don't know if he did. I don't think so, but I was starting out young, but moving to Florida kind of ended that. So focused on
Yeah.
baseball. And,
I mean, because he's big into he's a big hockey guy,
yeah,
and the girls play hockey, and so I didn't know if there was any hockey talk.
no, not too much, but
Did you
might be
like
after this.
hockey?
Yeah, I love hockey. Baseball and hockey have always been my two sports I've paid attention to the most. But
Do you still find time to skate?
no, not too much, and I don't always want to take the risk. It's been so long, I don't need to get hurt. But
Yeah. Gosh, I'm gonna tell you, I played hockey. So back when I worked with Coach Trimper at Maine, I played hockey. We would play noon hockey. Like that's instead of like noon basketball, we played noon hockey, and I really didn't play that much, and I would just get so frustrated. Like that sport really taught me a lot. Like I would get so frustrated that I'd miss the puck, and it'd go by me, and now I'm turning around, and by the time I'd be so upset, by the time I figured out and got myself back ready to go, the puck's back at me, and
yeah, it's a very
like
fast game.
it's so fast moving. Just staying up on skates is tough. And I really learned, like, man, you can't get down on yourself just because you missed the puck one time. You kind of got to stay in the game because
Yeah.
you never know how fast that thing's coming back to you.
So it's a very quick game. Always gotta be ready.
Yeah. Do you think that helped set a foundation for you playing a sport like hockey?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps set like an athletic foundation, just to, learn how to use your body and learn how to, apply different skills. And I think it definitely helped set up part of my athleticism for playing baseball. So,
Mm. Now, were you like were you the enforcer? Were you a scorer? Like
no,
what
I
were you
mean,
doing out there?
probably today I'd probably be more of an enforcer than I am a goal scorer. But back then, too young, just trying to figure out, probably scored a few goals. But
Yeah. All right, cool. So playing hockey up until you said 9 years old?
yeah, and then that's when I moved to Florida.
Now, so what led to that move?
My dad originally lived down here before he went to UCF, so knew the area pretty well, and then decided that we were sick of the cold and came down to Florida.
Mm, yeah, that's a good move, man.
Yeah,
So then you get down here, and then what? Then what do you have going on?
jumped right into travel ball right away in Ormond Beach, and then just kept continue playing travel ball. Went to the beach a lot. I thought it was the greatest thing. Coming from upstate New York, but that's not so much now. But you know, that was always a big part of it.
So you find the field more than you find the beach now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like that's what you love. That's what you like doing.
yeah.
You enjoy it. So talk me through. So out when you got down here, was it straight baseball in school,
Yeah,
and the
pretty
beach, I
much.
guess too.
Yeah, going getting to the beach when I could, but it was mostly just focusing on school and baseball and, finding guys to work out with, not really knowing anybody. And
Hmm.
then once that started to grow, just trying to find the place to play. And I found that in Ormond and, good experience and stayed with that organization for 8 years and then, moved on to, getting recruited and stuff like that.
Hmm. Um, do you? It kind of appears to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here. It appears like you come from a pretty rich baseball family. Like it seems like everybody in your family like loves the game.
Yeah, yeah, we're definitely a baseball family. Everybody takes big part in what I do, and I'm very appreciative of that because that's not something that everybody has. But my family's always been really behind my baseball career, so I'm very thankful for that.
And you got a big fan in your grandma. I mean,
Oh yeah, she's
she's at
always
every
there.
practice, every
Every
game.
Yeah,
Has that been that way all your life with her?
oh yeah. Ever since travel ball, she's always been at everything. It's always been just one of the things she loves to do. She's always there, but
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
have it any
awesome.
other way.
And you still have some family up in New York, is that right?
Yeah, my brother is still up in New York, and one of my grandmothers is, but they like
Okay.
to tune in online whenever they can.
Cool. So okay, so let's jump into to high school baseball. Okay. So you start off at Father Lopez,
Yeah,
and then you end up
and
your senior year transferring to Atlantic. Uh, Talk to us about how that 4 year span kind of played out.
yeah. So going into my freshman year, I think one of my biggest goals was just try to get on varsity, and then accomplishing that goal and just trying to play as much as possible and gain experience because going from like lower level travel ball into high school, it can feel like a big jump. And I think it was just all about like gaining experience and then getting the reps. And then over my 4 years, it was just a progression to just keep getting better, like from game to game, from year to year, and just keep progressing. So I started out my first 3 years at Lopez, moved my fourth year to Atlantic, and that was just a good move at the time for me, just based on certain circumstances. But I enjoyed all 4 years that I got to play.
What was high school like for you? Were you always involved in things? Did you kind of like, get involved outside of baseball with events? I'm always just interested to hear kind of like what the experiences were for you then.
Yeah, I mean, I was a part of a lot of different things in high school, a lot of different clubs like National Honor Society, Spanish Honor Society, just stuff like that. Ambassador Club. Just took a took a part in a lot of different different things just keep me going. But something other than baseball.
Do you have like Spanish descent as well? Hispanic descent?
No, I mean, on my father's side, it's Portuguese, but
Portuguese, okay.
yeah,
Cool. I was just that I had never heard of Spanish Honor Society.
yeah, that was at Lopez. That was part of that.
And so are you fluent in Spanish?
No, I mean,
Oh.
you have to be, you got to be able to speak a little bit, but you don't have to be fluent. But don't know as
Mhm.
much now as I knew then. I'm not using it so much anymore, but
Yeah. All right. So let's go. We're moving on. Talk a little bit about the recruiting process for you. What was it like? I mean, you're fresh into the game. You're 1 year in, so the recruiting process isn't too far away. Tell us a little bit about what that was like for you.
yeah. So my sophomore year of high school is when I actually joined the travel program, FTB. So that's when I really started to get into these tournaments that started to recruit and try to get seen. And I had a good opportunity of playing for USA Baseball, the NTIS, the identification series up in Cary, like a big tournament, for actually Coach Mercadante. So that's how I got to know him originally. And then he took the job here at Stetson. I went to a couple camps at a couple different schools, Stetson being one of those camps. And that's how I was pretty much found, was through these prospect camps that are hosted by schools.
Nice. And so then, reading your bio, it came down to us, UCF, and Jacksonville. So what kind of turned the table for you to be like, you know what, Stetson is the place for me?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked the feel of the school, smaller school, and obviously had a great connection with the coaching staff. Really liked all the coaches over here, and then academics was obviously high on my list, and I felt
Mhm.
that Stetson gave me the best combination of all three of those things. Good best opportunity both baseball and academically, and then just the connection I had with the coaches.
Gotcha. And so right now you're looking at a psychology major.
Yeah.
Is that something that, like, how did that come about for you? Because like I'm big into psychology. I love
Hmm.
learning about the mind and how people think and how people you know uh, make decisions and improve in life. So I follow that quite a bit. So I was just curious where that sparks in you.
Yeah, I mean, it was always a topic I was interested in, and I had the pleasure of taking a dual enrollment course my senior year of psychology through Daytona State, and that class like really made me think, okay, this is something I'm interested in. Like I had a really good teacher, made the topic really interesting. It was something I was always interested in before, but having him, I think, just boosted that. So like reaffirmed what I already thought of. Okay, yeah, that's what I want to do. Like that's what my major is going to be.
Okay, cool. Do you have an idea, down the road, what you'd like to do with that type of a major?
I mean, I always thought it'd be helpful for like coaching.
Yeah,
It'd be a good coaching major, because that's something I've always been interested in. But if it wasn't for coaching, I'd probably move on to like graduate school
yeah.
and try to get PhD in psychology and do something like that along those lines. But
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. So now we'll say, we're into your freshman year. We're at Stetson. We you became a captain as a freshman.
yeah,
Um, Crazy. That's wild. I don't think most freshmen. Number one, most freshmen aren't ready to have a role like that in a program. So you've come into this new program. You kind of what it's about, through the recruiting process. Yet you haven't even experienced a full year of it, and we go through the captain classes
hmm,
type of a system with Coach Trimper. He tried that out this year, and we've seen that's been pretty beneficial for a couple of our guys already that have been on. And so you get the opportunity to apply to be a captain. Take me through what's going on in your head throughout this, first couple of months that you're like, you know what, I'm doing this. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be a captain, and I'm just gonna roll with whatever happens. Because I mean, you don't know anything. You don't know about playing time. You
Right.
don't know about whatever it is. And you just come out here, you jump in and you say, I'm going to go after this captain thing, and I want to know, I would love if you expand on the whole thought process from going to the classes to deciding to apply to be the captain. And then what happens once they're like, yeah, hey man, we chose you to be a captain.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I know it seems like it was always a position that I fell in, at least for my 3 years in high school. And it always was a position that I was always a part of, just being a leader of a team. And, going into these classes, it might not have been, okay, like for sure, yeah, I'm going to be a captain. But it was, you know what, maybe I can grow, expand, learn some things. So maybe later down on the road, I can use some of these things, just the different traits, qualities, skills that we did go over in these classes. So as I was going through it, I was like, you know what, like some of these things, like I feel like I already do pretty well. And, you know, and we continued to progress. And then it went to the interview process and going in there and talking with the coaches. First time I've ever done something like that. But I felt that I had the experience. It was right time for me to do it. Why wait? Try to make an impact on the program and the team from day one, instead of waiting till I'm a junior or a senior and maybe only doing it for 1 or 2 years.
Um, what kind of an impact, like how are you taking the part of a captain, the job of a captain, the roles that a leader has? I mean, labeled captain, this year. Like, what was your plan as a first year player and a captain?
Yeah, and I mean, being a first year player, um, doesn't really matter when it comes to being a captain, especially with the group that we have. We have a great group of guys, and you know, if you look at it and you're like, oh, you're just a freshman, then we're all working towards the same goal. So I don't think anybody really has that attitude, which made it a lot easier to be an influence. Nobody's going to look at you and say, oh, you're just a freshman, what are you going to tell me? Like, we don't have a guy like that, which makes it a lot better. And I'm more anyway like lead by example, just kind of doing the right thing, but trying to find my voice as well. And I think that helps with having a couple other co-captains, to kind of get behind me and like push me to like finding my own voice and influencing others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was it was unique to see. I'm excited to see it in you, um, and I'm excited to see what you do as a captain. As the years go on. Um, what's leadership to you?
Yeah, I mean, leadership, whenever I think leadership, I always think leading by example, you know, and that's even when nobody's watching you. Um, because it's written in our locker room, like the true test of a man's character is how he conducts himself when nobody's watching. So I feel like that's always like a big thing that I've always thought about is what am I doing even if nobody else is looking at me, even if nobody sees it, it's still going to mean something.
Yeah, no, that is 100% true. Um, and that's just kind of you. That's how you live your life with everything, correct? The weight room,
Right.
the
Yeah.
classroom,
100%.
and
And you
all
gotta
that.
you gotta hold yourself accountable, and that's with everything that you do. Because if you're not doing it 100%, then why are you even doing it? So
And I also kind of noticed, a little bit outside, even though you might not notice it, like you kind of picked up the things nobody wanted to do. You kind of stepped in there, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to lead these things. I'm going to make it great. I'm going to make it be awesome. And you set a good tone in some of those things, such as taking care of team meal after a home game, just, picking random stuff up, holding guys accountable for doing those things. And, so that was a good thing to see. It was awesome to see you do that and help out in that regard. So I think you're doing a great job of, you know, leading through that example and doing those things.
thank you very much.
Yeah. Let's talk about summer baseball last year. So you had the unique
Yeah.
experience to play for the DeLand Suns. Um, there's not a ton of freshmen in the country, or not even freshmen yet, guys who played high school senior baseball. and then they get a chance to play in a collegiate baseball league. I've seen it a couple times in other leagues, and so before you even stepped foot into the dugout, into the clubhouse of Stetson baseball, you got this college experience in the Florida Collegiate League in the summer, playing for the DeLand Suns. And maybe talk about like how did that prepare you? What eye-opening experience, like what was an eye-opening experience that you had playing summer
Yeah.
ball? You're like, oh damn, this is a new level.
Yeah. That was definitely an invaluable experience. Like you said, just getting like the college level reps, might not be fully on the level of what Stetson is playing, but it's definitely a lot higher level than what I've experienced before. And, playing in that league, just the speed of the game, it's a step up. Everything's quicker, everything's faster. And that's something I noticed like throughout the year was, those first couple games and I was catching it, it was pretty quick. Everything's moving fast. You got a couple of different things going through your head. And then like as the year progressed, I was able to, kind of slow it down in a sense. And then, just kind of take one thing at a time. And by the end of the year, I was really comfortable playing on the field. Even if I wasn't having the success that I wanted, there were still a lot of valuable lessons that I've learned. So
Yeah.
it was definitely a great experience. And, I was really appreciative that I got the opportunity to play in that league.
Can you point any moment, can you pinpoint a single moment that may have had a big impact on you playing in a game this summer?
I mean, I don't know if there's like a specific moment that was, pretty like impactful in my overall development, but
Mhm.
I just think it was just a combination of the whole year, because every game brings something a little bit different. So, oh, I've never been in like this situation before, either hitting or catching or, playing in the field that at this level, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've seen this before at the high school level or in the travel ball, but, it's a little bit different.
Mhm. Um, I want to touch on a few things. One, I think you really hit the nail on the head earlier when you said the game kind of slows down, that's kind of what it is all about, right? Can you slow the game? Like you get to college baseball from high school baseball or travel baseball and you've slowed the game down in high school to where it's like, easy, not easy, but like you're able to be highly successful. Then you get an opportunity to come to a Division I baseball program where, guys are moving faster. The ball comes at you faster. The ball is hit off the bat faster. Guys are throwing a little bit harder. And you're able now, like that kind of helps you slow that game down a little bit
Right.
there. And then you get into your college program and things are moving at another speed,
Right.
right? And you slow that game there. So I definitely agree with you there on that, slowing the game down. And if there's a high school kid out there listening to this, just happening to watch this, like, would you say the quicker you can slow it down, the better off you're going to be?
Yeah, 100%. And it takes time. It's not like you might go out there one day and you're gonna feel maybe overwhelmed slightly, just different things. Like you said, the speed of the game, you got different like sign systems you got to remember this and like certain situations, you got to remember certain things. But it just becomes like more over time, okay, I'm starting to pick this up a little bit more. And
Right.
and that's how it kind of works. So it takes time and you definitely need the game reps to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it will eventually happen.
Let's talk about the compete factor, because all coaches, all programs compete the highest level. They talk about competition and competing every day, and um, having that factor that you are a competitor at a college program where everyone's working together towards that common goal, like you had mentioned, which is improvement and becoming the best you're capable of being and playing at the highest level and getting as far as you possibly can throughout the year, right? Do you feel like where you were at in travel ball and in high school baseball prepared you for that compete factor?
Yeah, I mean, and I always felt it was just an internal thing. I've always wanted to win and compete and be the best, and and you got to try to compete even with yourself in certain aspects, okay, I did this yesterday, but let me do this a little bit better today.
Mm-hmm.
And, you got to find the drive in yourself to try to compete or you just improve upon something or, beat somebody else if that's what it is. But um, that could be on the field, in the weight room, in the classroom. You just got to find a way to be a little bit better than you were yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
especially I think in the weight room. And, you talked about development, moving up through the ranks, travel ball, high school, up to, summer ball, and then D1 baseball. But I
Right.
think you just got to keep getting stronger, be stronger than you were yesterday, and, improve your skills at the same time.
Yeah. Can you walk us through like some of the struggle that you went through this year? Like, what's something that you were going through this year? Like, maybe you're not getting something 100%, or there's a scenario that just kind of pops up once, pops up twice, and then the third time it happens, you're like, oh, I know what I should have done in that case. I'm talking about the learning process here because you've obviously gone through it, right?
Right.
And in the learning process, there's always those failures, right? Those little failures.
Hmm.
Um, and like, is there anything that you could kind of give as an example that you kind of worked through to become and you found like, okay, I figured this out now, I'm better from it, from those failures?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're just gonna fail in a lot of aspects of your game, whether it be offense or defense or, little parts about them. And there's always going to be failure. It's just how the game is. But, realizing that you're going to get another opportunity. And for the most part, I felt like I handled it well. But I think, like you brought up, signs was something, different swimming in with the new sign system, something you've never done. You might be slow at it at the beginning and you might screw it up. And guys might get frustrated, but at the same time, they're understanding because you've never done anything like that. So that was something that I constantly had to think about, and until I finally got it, it
Mm-hmm.
took a little while, but just something new. I mean, there was a situation like that this year. It was like first and third, and I was at first, and I missed like a cut play where I was supposed to go get in the rundown, and we could have the runner score, and I missed it. It was on me, 100%. And I come back in, and I think the first thing you have to do is just let it go. Because you can't take it to the field with you. And you always hear guys say that, like, have a bad at bat, you make an error. You can't bring it to the field or you can't bring it to your at bat. You got to let it go. And, one thing I always say is like, be where your feet are. So wherever you're at that time, just worry about what you're doing. Like, don't think about what you've done. Don't think about what you have to do. Focus on what you're doing at that exact moment, and it might help you relieve some of that pressure, stress, and you might just be able to focus in a little bit more.
Yeah, and that's awesome stuff. It kind of brings me back to I don't know if you ever saw this video of Pete Rose, right? Where it was like an interview that he was doing, and he was like, "Look, he's like, it's a very simple thing to me. He's like, I never wanted to make an error because I felt like I was letting the pitcher down, or the team down by making an error." He said, "But when I had a bat in my hands, I was thinking about hitting. When I had a glove on my hand, I was focusing and concentrating on fielding." He's like, and so that really kind of hits home when you kind of talk about it that way. Is there anything that so like, what are you doing? Like, okay, you're in that situation. You miss the sign, you come in, everyone's like, Christian, what's going on? You didn't you see this? And you're like, and you just you own it, right?
Yeah, you got to own it.
So what are you doing from the time like that all the stuff has happened to you come in, you get dressed, and then you get geared up and you go out to catch? Like, what's the process there for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty quick. You got to be quick with it. You can come in like you're putting your helmet down or whatever. Okay, why did I miss it? Why did it happen? How is it not going to happen again? Just kind of little things like, what was it about that situation that I forgot that or I didn't see that? And then as like you said, as I'm getting dressed to get out on the field, it's like as soon as I get my gear on and I'm out back on the field, I'm thinking about, okay, who do I got on the mound? Who's coming up? It switches immediately because you can't dwell on it or else it's just going to affect everything. You're going to get out there. You're going to be thinking, man, missed that sign. And then you're not thinking about, okay, maybe I call the wrong pitch in the wrong situation. It gets hit. All of a sudden, now we're in trouble because I lacked focus because of something stupid that I did before. That's past. I can't control it. It's gone. Let it go.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for taking us in there, because that's the gold right there. That's the awesome stuff where, we're able to kind of see how elite people adjust and move on from those situations. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us. And it's really like, that's the great stuff. That's the stuff, like the ability for you and how great you are at, you make the mistake, you acknowledge the mistake, you flush, quote unquote, flush the
Yeah,
mistake. And
flush
it's
it.
not like you're not like doing anything like hokey about it. It's just, this is, okay, when that gear's on and I'm running, I cross the steps and I'm out there on the field,
Yeah,
I touch grass, I'm back in thinking about what I need to do with the pitcher on the mound and the batters
right,
coming up.
right.
No, that's phenomenal stuff. So I really appreciate your time. This has been awesome, especially on a Mother's Day. Do you have any plans coming up for Mother's
No,
Day?
go down and see my grandmother and then have a nice dinner with mom, but that's about it.
So moving from what you're doing on Mother's Day with the fam over into a segment that everybody really loves, really enjoys. Been getting a lot of messages in Twitter, on Facebook about the three strikes, where I'm going to ask you some questions about guys on the team, or just kind of general question, and you tell me the guy on the team that you think fits into that category. Okay. The most competitive player on the team.
Most competitive player on the team, I'd probably have to say George Arenas.
Okay.
It's just
Number two. Strike number two. Who is the best ping pong player on the team?
best ping pong player. There's a lot of debate over this question, but I'd have to say probably Brett Nealon.
All right, so we've gone through two of the three strikes so far. You've been strong. You've done a great job. Nice, quick answers. So now we're gonna go into the third strike in three strikes. Who on the team makes you laugh?
Probably say two funniest guys that make me always laugh are probably Nick Cardieri and Austin Dilbert. They always seem to have something pretty funny to say. But
And there you have it. Another dual player answer for three strikes. So we've got most competitive, Jorge Arenas, best ping pong player, Brett Nealon. And I know you're not a big ping pong guy either. You do get on the
yeah, every
table.
once in a while.
You get on the table. And you know what I
Very
noticed about when
average.
you're on the table? You're always making it a tournament. It's always a tournament or a
Oh yeah,
competition.
love the tournaments.
And then the players that make you laugh the most are Nick Cardieri and Austin Dilbert. Christian, thank you so much. Wish your mother a happy Mother's Day for allowing
Thank
us
you.
this time to interview you on a Sunday morning.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
All right. Take care, buddy.